All right, today we're tackling a really big idea, the incredible power you get when you learn to look far ahead. I'm talking past our immediate wants, beyond the struggles of right now, and even beyond the limits of our own shadow. It's a kind of weird question, right? But seriously, think about it for a second. What if your entire world, your whole field of vision, was just that dark shape you cast on the ground? It's a really powerful metaphor, and we're going to unpack it. Okay, let's dive right in. So why is it such a problem to only focus on what's right in front of your face? Let's really break down this whole short-sighted perspective. The root of the issue really starts here. It's just so human to get completely wrapped up in our current life, right? We're always chasing pleasure and running from pain in the here and now, completely forgetting that there might be a much bigger journey, a bigger picture. And when you've got that narrow focus, when you're driven by these immediate fears, like just going hungry, well, it can lead you down a pretty dark path. When the only thing that matters is surviving today, it suddenly seems to justify some really harmful actions, deceiving people, stealing, or just climbing right over others to get what you need. No, this is where it gets really interesting, when you see the contrast. On one side, you've got a life that's just dictated by what you need right this second, and that can lead to some really destructive behavior. But on the other side, you have a long-term view, one that sees life as this whole continuous journey. You're guided by a real purpose, and that just naturally leads to growth and much more positive actions. To really get a handle on this limited perspective, there are a couple of brilliant metaphors that they just nail it perfectly. Let's take a look at the first one. Think about it for a sec. Your shadow is basically a reflection of you, usually about your own size. So, what if your vision, your ambition, your entire world only went as far as the end of that shadow? Man, you'd be living in a really small, self-centered reality. And then it gets taken to an even crazier extreme. I mean, can you even imagine a point of view so tiny, so confined, that it doesn't even make it past your own face? That is such a powerful image for a viewpoint that is just completely trapped by the self, totally unable to see anything beyond. Okay, so if we're all stuck looking at our own shadows and eyelashes, what's the way out? How do we break free from that? Let's shift gears and talk about the solution and how we can build a much more expansive, more fulfilling way to live. So here's the absolute crucial point. It all comes down to a choice. It's a conscious decision you have to make. The real challenge is to actively decide to lift your gaze up, to look past all these self-imposed boundaries we create, and to actually see the horizon out there. And you know what's waiting for us on the other side? It's not just some abstract idea. It's the very things we've all been searching for, right? We're talking about real, genuine happiness, a future that actually feels bright and full of potential, and that amazing, renewed feeling of hope. But this is about so much more than just feeling a little better in the moment. When you really adopt that long-term view, you open up a path that leads to some profoundly life-altering destinations. And there's actually a roadmap for this. It starts with practical, real-world success, in your job, in your personal life, and well-being. But that's just the start. The ultimate goal here, the end game, is something much, much deeper. Liberation from what's known as vata samsara, that endless cycle of suffering. It's about achieving a final, lasting peace. And honestly, this might just be the most powerful message of all. Looking forward isn't just about the future. It's also about freeing yourself from the past. You can finally let go of the disappointments and the failures because what lies ahead of you is so much more promising. Okay, so this all sounds amazing, right? But how do we actually walk this path? How do we do it? Let's get right to the final, clear and actionable way forward. So, here it is. This is the ultimate takeaway. The path forward is through a dedicated practice called the threefold training. You can think of it in three parts. First, cultivating virtue through ethical actions. Second, developing concentration through mental discipline. And third, gaining wisdom by truly understanding the nature of reality. This is the call to action. It's about more than just looking far ahead. It's about walking forward with real intention. So may everyone diligently practice the threefold training for the cessation of suffering and the attainment of eternal happiness.